So we've got construction 2035. So we're casting our brains into the future now, talking technology, net zero, and the future of buildings. So our chair is going to be Dr. Carol, and over to you. Let's have a round of applause.
So it's always lovely to see the next generation in the room. So just by a show of hands, how many of you have family members that are in construction? Tell me which trade? Do you know? Brilliant. And yourself? No? And yourself? Robot. Right, okay. Yourself? Okay. So you've got some background or somebody that's in the industry, which is always good to know. So today I'm joined by some industry experts, and I suppose combined age, we must have over about 100 years of experience sitting in front of you. We don't look that old, do we? Including myself, that is. Including myself. So just to put some context on what we're going to be talking about, I'm going to touch on technology, touch on AI, sustainability, what's happening in the world around us, so global, so you'll hear things about other countries. Future careers, so we're here, we want to know what future careers allows for yourselves as you're looking at the future. And again, the opportunities for young people. So what I'll do, so that you get to know the panellists, is to get them to briefly introduce themselves, and then I'll get into the questions. So starting with you, Dave.
Thank you, Carol, and thanks everyone. So my name is almost the same as that. My name is Dave Phil. I work with Bentley Group. Unfortunately, I'm going to pop your bubble. It's not a car manufacturer. We are a digital engineering company. We create all the... Sorry, thank you, Carol.
So we use all the different technologies, if you like, to think about. You imagine before you build a building, we build it digitally, rehearse it. My background is construction management. That's my original degree, civil engineering, and indeed quantity surveying as well. So I've been in the industry for probably some 30 years. And I'm also a professor up at Heriot-Watt University up in Edinburgh as well, and a chair from Innovation and Digital, the Chartered Institute of Building. You heard from Paul, their innovation group as well. Looking at the future, how things like artificial intelligence is going to reshape what we do. But my day job, and I'll come on to that, is Chief Value Officer, looking at all the different value propositions for the built environment.
So hello everyone, my name is Ilnaz Ashairi. I think some misspelled is there. No problem, it's fine. I'm senior lecturer and the program lead in Birmingham City University for construction management courses specifically. Have a background of architecture and construction management in industry before I joined for the academia. So yeah, a lot of interest I can see from the young generation. Hopefully it's going to be the same for the future. Recently I can see it's increasing. Hopefully it's because of AI. So we will have a good discussion today.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. So Dr. Bola Abisogun OBE, I'm the founder and president of the Digital Twin Skills Academy. Officially, I'm also the Chief Excitement Officer. So that's designed to make you smile. We are all about putting the fun factor back into digital construction. And by that, I mean things like Minecraft, but in reality. I'm a chartered quantity surveyor by profession. Like my dear colleague David, 35 years in the industry now. I know I don't look it, but that's credit to mum. But that said, I'm intrigued and inspired to give you all some insight into what we're doing, not only in the UK, but also potentially in the Middle East, where they are building some amazing things and in many ways leading the path to innovation. So I'll leave it there for now.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. I'm Kamara. I'm a construction project manager at Pareto Projects, and a lot of what the work I do is I project manage tall, large residential buildings, and some of the examples are within Birmingham itself. My background is I actually won the Building the Future Award about 3 years ago now, and just because of my contributions to the industry. I'm also RICS chartered, so I've got a surveying background as well, And a lot of work I do as well is trying to inspire a lot of young people to join the construction industry and look at ways that we can enhance your skills and your profile so that you can get an opportunity to come in. And I think I'm going to give a very different view from the academics on the panel. So over to you.
Hi there, everyone. I'm Paul Bingham. I'm a managing director for Regen Group. So I'm actually started with Regen Group in January. So we're building a new business within the Midlands. Prior to that, I worked for Equans, which is probably one of the biggest, I suppose, FM refurbishment public sector provider, probably within the UK and outside the UK as well. My background actually is why I'm always interested in getting in these. Is I came from an apprenticeship background, so I started off as a joiner, and then I furthered my education as well as having some training opportunities. Member of the Chartered Institute Building, and basically worked my way through my career to now being a managing director of a business. So I'm really enthused by people that are coming to these events to learn about construction and building, and I certainly think I'll probably definitely give a different view on AI and technology, maybe a more practical view as well of where we're actually using it, because we're already seeing it within the sector. We're already using it as a business, so we can reflect back on that, not just I suppose the really sexy projects that are out there that we see. Are building sort of like tall projects in the Middle East and Asia and things along those lines, where technology is being utilised significantly as well as in our country.
Thank you. Brilliant. Great experience on the stage. And I'll just a little bit about me. I've been in the industry over 40 years. So when I said 100 plus, I'm probably the oldest one that's been in the industry, 40 plus years. But we'll talk about that later. So it leads quite nicely into the next question, or the first question for the panel. So we know that construction has changed, and over the last decade we've seen how things have evolved, even in the last 5-6 years, maybe even shorter timescales. So for the youngsters in the room, can we share what we've seen that has accelerated in the industry to put it into context? Dave, you're nodding your head. Go for you.
It's interesting. Grab the microphone. The first construction project I worked. How old are you roughly, youngsters? 13. So I was only 4 years older than you are now. Yep. I was 17 years old. I went to the first construction project. It was building a school. Now, it was interesting. I think when you said that, your dad or whoever was an architect, your mum was an architect or is an architect. In a construction project, you've got lots of different people building. You've got architects that are designing, you've got engineers, you've got people that are putting building services in. And the first project I won, we were the builder, the construction management company. And what would happen every week is somebody would build something, might be a brick wall, it might be some steelwork. Then what happened is it clashes. Something doesn't fit together. What would happen? You'd knock it down, you're reworking, and there was a huge amount of frustration. It was, you look at it, and Rivian made a lot of money out of that one because there's all this frustration. Everything was built, it was knocked down, it was very unproductive. And then what happened probably in the last 15 years more than anything, we now build things virtually. We build things on the computers, we simulate it, we create. Does anybody play Minecraft? That's what it is a bit like. Imagine adult Minecraft, a bit more detail behind it, but we build it, we craft it, we look in terms of does it coordinate, we bring all the different people around to share all this information before we build it. We'll maybe build it 3-4 times in a computer before we build it out in site. Everybody can understand what they're building if they're, and it becomes really accessible. My daughter's 20. Now, she's in her last year at university. She's doing construction management, and she loved Minecraft. She loved everything like that. And she didn't really see, any sort of job in construction for her. But then she done, not much older than you, she done a modern day apprenticeship in Scotland. She went out, she tried it. I think the big thing for her, she saw how diverse it was, not just in terms of gender or anything, but diversity in terms of all these different job roles. It's not just trades, there's economists, there's sustainability engineers. So for me, the biggest thing that I've seen is doing for a very traditional, build it, knock it down because it doesn't fit, or as unproductive, becoming very digital, very robotic, the use of artificial intelligence, all becoming the norm, not just in the big projects, but the small. And I think that's really quite an exciting time for me as well.
Yeah. So I may come from the fact that he was explaining when I first become interested to the built environment was the time I was with my dad that they wanted to have a new house, and we went to an architect's office, and then I saw all the drawing models, and it made me just like, oh my God, I can have something from my own base of my skills, and then it's going to survive forever. People live in it and enjoy it. But in that time when I had started education, we didn't have, even barely we have AutoCAD, so I may look young too, but I am not very young. So in that time, everything was drawing by hand, which was different skill set. You should be patient when it's the hand drawing. But gradually, when the time passed and I see this type of new technologies, I can see that you can have whatever you imagine, even when it is out of reach, model it, test it, even see if it is practical, if it's feasible or not. So it's the time that we are talking about how digital world can connect innovation, skills, maybe creativity. And even if you have different types of skills as a new generation, still you can come and join to the construction, because construction is not anymore a site and materials. Even I love it, still I love it, but I mean that if you have a different skill, or if you think you like to have different types of approach, you can. So I think AI, thanks to the new kind of technologies, you can have adaptability for your skill, and I think this is very important in this new world. Yeah.
Just quickly on that, conscious of time, and I know the chair, we've only got 30 minutes, right? 35 minutes. So biggest change, gamification. Like whether you're senior director, client, consultant, contractor, gamifying what we do, whether that's pre-construction, during construction, post-construction, that's the future. And I will leave you with a word, and it's called digital twins, right? And whether you understand the power of the digital twin or not, I'd suggest you all Google that word and just go crazy in terms of your mindset and how you can apply that concept of reality and physical built environment, and all of the different roles that can emerge from that fusion of technology and traditional ways of working. Blow your mind. Minecraft is the beginning of that journey. It was for us, it still is, but gamification, it's going to be the next frontier of the fun factor.
So the question was about how I've seen it change, and I've probably been in the industry less than everyone else, to be fair. So I've been in the industry for about 10 years. And just in those 10 years, so it's a decade of change, really, I've seen how sustainability has come at the forefront, how buildings need to be more sustainable. We want to do less waste, there's more circular economy, how can we retrofit buildings? And there's also been a change in legislation, which is why we need the digital twins, so that we've got this record of how the building has been built and what is the component parts of that building. So for me, that change has really been how are my peers adapting to all these new pieces of information, and how can we utilise it to the best of our ability, as well as using our professional experience to still manage and lead projects and build projects on site. So just touching on what everyone else has said, yes, technology is opening up doors, but the doors are opening up quicker, I think, sometimes than we can keep pace with. So yeah.
Thanks. I'll keep this short, actually, because I think a lot of the panel members have covered it. But I think the biggest change that I've seen, actually, is apart from the fact that when I started out in the industry, there was no such thing as a battery drill or battery tools. Everything was manual. I think the biggest change for me, what I've actually seen, and certainly in the FM market, is the utilisation of data, and actually how we can utilise that data to become more efficient, more effective, both in time and in quality, such as things like recording information, recording the build quality. So I think for me, it's actually the biggest change that I've seen in the sector is, we've gone from paper and pen and storing drawings in drawing cupboards, but now the actual available data is really changing the sector and how it works.
Just because I'd like the students to feel part of the conversation, just by a show of hands, how many of you have already started to use AI? That's brilliant. And that's important, right? Because you are part of the transformation and the technology already. So from an industry perspective, we're having to ensure that we keep up with the knowledge of AI that you've already become accustomed to at your young age. So just in terms, because we just bring it back to careers in construction and touching on gaming and AI and sustainability, why would these lovely faces consider a career in the industry? I'm going to come to you, Paul. Why?
Apart from like I said, the obvious thing from my perspective is I started as a carpenter and I'm a managing director now, and I've got a really good living from it. There's a massive skill shortage within the industry. I think we've lost around 250,000 employees since COVID ended, and they've not been replaced. So actually, from a perspective of coming into a secure market, although we've got AI, what I would say is probably the construction sector, in my opinion, is probably a little bit more insulated from AI, as opposed to when you actually look at factory lines, your Amazons, your car manufacturing, things along those lines, where robotics will become very, very quick. Also a lot of administration. So from a perspective of if you're a creative person and you've got that vision and you can see what a building looks like in your head, whether that's, from architecture or whether that's actually, you've got a customer there that's trying to explain a vision to you and you're putting that into plan. I think the construction industry is, such a great bed to have a fantastic career. And I think it's one that's pretty much limitless. There's not a lot of barriers to success apart from hard work and application. So from my perspective, my daughter, she's 21 this year. She's a quantity surveyor. And I'd certainly encourage anybody to get into the industry because it is such a fantastic environment.
Okay, so my background's actually in law. Actually have a law degree, so I got into this industry through chance, and I think the construction industry is really rewarding in pay, but also in the tangible results you actually see on site. So you could be, as a project manager, working from when the client has an idea in their head as to what they want to build on site, all the way through to handing over those keys, and to actually go past the building and say, right, you've worked on that building, you've seen that building come to life from a drawing, is amazing, and it's highly rewarding. And yeah, that's it.
Yes. See, you're going to see the theme. We go from left to right, but I'm just going to jump out and say what I think needs to be said. The industry needs some disruptors. I'm known as a disruptor. I break stuff, fix it, put it back together. Why I'm excited for you is that you will bring, God willing, a new perspective, and you're going to challenge the way that we've done things for years, and some of those things don't work well. Some of them are wasteful. We need new ideas. AI can help you, and I'm so glad to see most hands went up about the AI piece. But we need disruptors. We need people to come in, whether on the trade or the professional side, and challenge the way that we've done things, so that moving forward, we become more sustainable, more efficient, more ethical, more innovative, but we also diversify. I love the diversity of that audience of young people there. I can't see many women, but we're there. But we need disruptors. Take that from me.
I guess if you are coming, if you want to talk about the new generation, I think one of the main key for them is a lot technology and computer. If you are coming from that perspective, this industry really need it, because you can go to the Minimum is building information modeling, that you can have a model that is just a computer based and you can connect it with drones. They are not just for playing with them, they can connect it to sensors, cameras. If you are a person like to work with the data, we need to work with the data a lot for planning, scheduling, and this is all about the data that have a real impact on a project. And if you are a person like Planet, you can have a maximum impact because our industry has a problem. We are one of the industries that create a lot of probably mess for the climate change. So you can have an impact if you care. But I think one thing we really need is questioning. We are still traditional. We are not really changing the way we are approached to the material, to the procurement. We need question. And if you are the people that wants to ask why we still do this in this way, that's the right place, because you can do a lot of change in this industry.
It was quite funny because, you know, I asked my daughter the same question, sort of thing. When she was 16, she went out and done an apprenticeship on a big construction project. She was the only girl on the site. She loved it, and she came back really excited. I said, why did you love it so much? Okay, the technology is great, isn't it? But she never mentioned technology once. She said, I felt we were actually doing something that was going to create, as she said, impact. We're actually doing something that, you know, it was a school. It was going to educate young people within it, but she could see something physically building that was going to have real impact there. She thought it was cool. You imagine we've got all this construction plant, you've got big tower cranes going about, you've got a plant, but you'd all these different people that she met doing different roles, and she got really excited about it. But she was quite honest as well, and I think it's one of the things. She was getting paid fair. Well, she would get paid fairly. It was a good salary. It was. I think she'd seen it as, oh, is it just a trade? It's a profession as well. You know, you hear today, we mentioned, you've heard all these acronyms like SIB, RICS and everything. These are professional bodies. You know, when we talk about coming to construction, this is, you know, no different to becoming, if you like, you know, a doctor or such like. It's a big responsibility. You know, every day you're maybe looking after people's life in construction. So for our point of view, you know, this is a career, you know, for a lifetime. It was exciting, and it was going to be something she could be continuously learning. But you said benefit society, and especially benefit in terms of environment. Construction is one of the biggest contributors, but at the same time, it's got the biggest opportunity to improve environment as well. So if you want to make a difference to the world that you live in, construction, the built environment comes a great way to do it as a career.
100%. I think you can hear me without the mic, can't you? Yeah? Don't need the right. So obviously we're in Birmingham, beautiful city of Birmingham. And what can we see as you come in? There's lots of building work. There's a massive regeneration project that is taking place that will go on for the next 10, 20, 30 years, enhancing what's already here in the city, but also bringing some new buildings, which for you guys is really exciting. But then we need to be curious to what's happening globally. So the question to the panelists, what can we learn in terms of innovation for the projects we're doing here that's happening in some areas globally that are a little bit ahead of us on the technology? I'm going to come to Dr. Bola.
Thank you. So this is the exciting question for me. But so Middle East, and in particular Saudi Arabia, doing some amazing things. You probably heard of the line on NEOM as an exemplar project. But I think the biggest thing that we can learn in the UK from those overseas that are adopting technology is their mindset. They have a different approach to risk. And I know as a contractor, risks is sometimes expensive, but we have to be bold. And a lot of what is going on outside of the UK actually was born from the UK standards and research and the projects that we've piloted but never followed through on. And we have to educate our clients to become more intelligent. Now that might sound perverse coming from a consultant construction manager, but if your client is intelligent enough and asks for the right outcomes from the beginning and is bold in that ask, then things will begin to shift and change, right? I'm excited about what the Building Safety Act is doing in terms of the golden thread. But if you ask 10 different people what the golden thread is, you'll get 10 different answers. We need to fix that.
Just explain the golden thread.
So the golden thread, in very simple terms, is a digital footprint of how you've designed the building, built the building, and then pushed the building into operations, right? You've chronologically captured all of that data, all the people that were involved, all the processes that were used, all the specification that was put together, all the materials employed. You've got the whole granularity of the entire process. Think of it as Minecraft on steroids, right? And if you want to look backwards at what happened on a project, the golden thread allows you to do that. But we are not yet embracing the spirit or the procedural accuracy of a golden thread right now. And that's our biggest opportunity. And unless we think differently and educate our clients differently, we're going to end up with the same ask. Now, this is the legal requirement, so things have to change. And that's why I'm asking for the disruptors in that young audience to step forward and be bold about what you think we can do to fix and deliver the golden thread in a more meaningful way so that we get the better outcomes for society and our clients. That might have gone over your head, but just play Minecraft.
Anyone else want to add to what's happening?
The filter.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the things as well, when you work in construction, you don't have to work in Birmingham all your life. I mean, I come from Scotland, but most of the year I'll be working in Australia, America, wherever. You will get opportunity if you wish to travel international. It's an international career. And it was interesting, Carol, you mentioned in terms of looking around the world. Last year we were out in Australia looking at big projects. Our company's based in America. Actually, I think in the UK, in terms of, I think we're ahead and we've been at the vanguard of digitising, innovating. All these, you've got some sites now, you'll see robotics on it. They're supporting trades. You heard with everything with there. I think the only thing that actually sets apart in both ends is mindset. In the UK, we've got a habit of, we've always done it that way and we'll always continue. It's hard to break it. I was working out in South Africa last year, and it was interesting there because now a lot of the sites have got technologies that never had it. And now they're looking at really innovative ways of doing it. It's not a case of, we've always done that way. They've got it. They're leapfrogging what we're doing because of the mindset. So as Bo said, we need folk that are going to just rip up the real book, take these different technologies and we're doing. But actually, in the UK, the work that's going on, you mentioned what Carol said. There's a lot of great stuff that's going around in Birmingham, the Midlands and everything. Projects such as High Speed 2. I mean, when I came in this morning, I flew down this morning from Edinburgh in a very sustainable jet, very sustainable to say. But there, you can see all these sort of, but you can see all the work that's going on, all the big infrastructure projects. Just look around what's going on. It's actually really, really exciting to see how much it's changed. So you don't have to go far to see some of the best innovation that's actually happening. It's happening very much round about you, the universities and everything. And one thing, don't ever lose it. I heard somebody talking about it. We were talking about this at lunchtime. Being an adult. Do not change your mindset. Do not, you hear all this, becoming an adult. Stay curious. And I think that's one of the biggest barriers I found is when people go to university and suddenly they're told to do it that way. They become less curious. Stay curious. Always ask the question, why? Why? Challenge it, sort of thing. Challenge your teachers. Any teachers there? Do you like to be challenged? I see that. Yeah. Sort of thing. So challenge your teachers as well, sort of thing. But keep your mind open as you get older. Don't believe in this adulting rubbish. But yeah, disrupt.
100%.
Anyone else want to add about
Maybe. I wanted to explain about your question more because there are definitely countries with a different approach to the construction. Technology-wise, we can have the Middle East, we can have Singapore, but there are countries such as Norway that look at the materials and sustainability in another level. So, for example, they have high-rise buildings. One of them that is in the Norway, I think Milwaukee Tower. It's a 25-floor just timber, mass timber. So they are challenging even engineering. They are looking to the material in another way. So always is not the technology, it's thinking different. And that's the most important thing. Technology helping us to make things happen. It doesn't remove our creativity. It should not remove our questioning. So that's the point. Construction give you the chance that create something that maybe generations look at it, and then you can say, I was involved in it. I was a person in that team. This is the output. And this is actually, our industry is really important in that capacity, because we can have a footprint of our outcome there.
Absolutely. And we always like to think what's happening now, but for you as youngsters, what's happening in the next 10 years? So the question I'm going to ask the panel is to fast forward to 2035. And don't worry, you wouldn't have won the lottery, you wouldn't have been sitting on a beach. This is 2035 in construction. Wow. Now we're talking about careers, and we've touched on technology. And sometimes we hear about technology, we think, and we've talked about some of the jobs that will be replaced. You know, we know about AI doing some really clever things. So, for the students here, what will some of the jobs look like in 2035?
Can I start?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay. Yeah, excited again. So let's go to young man Paul's perspective. Trade men and women on site, fully fitted in wearables. I see it, like Robocop. Wearables. That's a trade. White collar professionals, completely different roles. In terms of, I mean, I'm a quantity surveyor. I don't use a scale rule, don't use paper. I actually graduated 94, right? And here's the thing. Here's another thing, and this is a slightly different tangent. 1993, most of you weren't born, but 1993, 94, I graduated. And in 2003, I set up a business called AIQS, right? The world wasn't ready. Today, the world is. And I say that to say this. If you have a vision of how you think you're going to be working 10 years from now, stick to it, even if others don't believe it, right? Because 2035 for me today is almost unthinkable, other than we're still going to need to fix carpet that doesn't stick, hang towels, paint walls, lay bricks, but we're also going to need to do that quicker, cheaper, more efficiently, sustainably, with less risk, more profitably. And we're going to need to do it with a smile on our face because we love what we do, right? That's going to be the challenge. 2035, I think, is such a vision I can't figure out right now. But what I do know, it's going to be exciting, and it's going to involve artificial general intelligence, maybe even artificial super intelligence, right? That's coming anyway.
I think we're going to be looking at more automated processes, but those automated processes will need to be governed by like ethics. And making sure that, you know, the data that we're feeding into AI is being used wisely, so the computer doesn't become the supercomputer. But ultimately, that would be AI engineers, new kind of design disciplines. So people that we wouldn't previously have had on projects before would now need to be required. New data controllers as well. So it's a lot more about data-driven analytics, that kind of thing, which is happening, but it's just branching out into different avenues of work.
I think we're going to live in a really highly automated environment, if I'm going to be totally honest. And I think actually that's a positive thing, because I think things like AI, robotics, technology, I think we'll see much better health and safety standards on site in the future. We'll be able to use, you know, virtual environments. We'll be able to use tech to look around that site. You've not necessarily got to be on that site, but you know, we're already seeing on sites that people are walking around with sort of like cameras on helmets and body cams. We'll be able to, I think, use technology to help us get to the golden thread. I worked on a site recently where we were remediating a problem building, which was off the back of Grenfell, and that was where we were changing the panels and looking at the whole fire remediation of the building. And the client actually employed a business called Multivista, and basically what they did is they had, at this point in time, and of course this will be automated in the future, is they had cameras all over the site, and then that was cross-referenced with the documentation certification that we were producing. And at the end of the project and during the project, they were able to check to see whether or not we'd done enough inspection and test plans, enough compliance checks, if we'd got photographs of where interface details had changed. And where we'd not got that information, we were able to delve back into the building before it got to the point of handover and closing it up. So I think we will either see things like robotics. We're already using drones to do like surveys of buildings. We're already using laser surveys, both internally and externally, to sort of spec up buildings and scope buildings. So, but I think that that'll continue to evolve. But I think that the actual roles in the sector will continue to evolve as well, to be more automated, just like the other panel members said.
Lovely. We've just got 3 more minutes, and I've got obviously another question that I'd like to.
Yeah, 2035, I'll be on a beach with a mojito, so yeah, that's out of it. But 2035, I mean, look at yourselves. Some of you will have gone to university. Some of you, hopefully, off the back of today, will have done construction. Some of you might be in straight for an apprenticeship route. So you're going to be the future of what we do. If you look back 10 years, it's amazing how much technology has changed. But at the same time, one of the big things I think we'll build physically less. 99% of our built environment, our buildings already exists. And I think what we'll do is be more sustainable. We'll look how we can adapt more what we want. So I think we'll be making more sustainable decisions. I think a lot of the things we do build will come more and more factory orientated, digital models if in there. So more thinking about robotics, computational analysis and things like that with there. But I still think it'll be highly creative as well. We talk about everything as if it's on site. Construction is a small part of the built environment. There's about years go in terms of design, the money side of it, economics. 30, 40, 50, 100 years after it's been built, we look after these assets within there. I think we'll put more focus, if you like, not just in the build, but prior to it, thinking about how we make things more manufacture ready and how we actually care for all the buildings after it. So we've got a huge, you're the future. It'll be up to you what it looks like and not up to us in terms of your decisions. It won't be up to ones that we'll make. It'll be up to actually your mindset, how sustainable we want to be, how much innovation do you want? You're going to drive it, not us. I'll give you a shout from my beach.
Just as we're wrapping up the discussion, just something to leave the wonderful students here to excite them about the industry going forward. What would it be from this discussion? What would be the takeaway from what we've shared that they can go back and think, you know what, that resonates with me and I'm going to consider a career in the industry, Paul? Thank you.
Try and keep this really basic, actually. So I think you can get into construction and you can do literally anything in there. So you could be a lawyer, you could be a quantity surveyor, you could be a carpenter, you could be a data analyst, you could be an architect, you could be a scheduler, a planner, and the actual mobility in construction as well, the social mobility in construction is, like we said earlier, you've not got to work in Birmingham all your life. In fact, I worked for part of the Breed Group before I worked for Regen, and one of their ethoses was if there's something good going off in the world, in our business, we want you to get on a plane and go and look at it and bring it back to where you're working and apply it. They were really challenging that ethos. So for me, there's a massive skill shortage in the sector. So it's a positive, safe career, but then there's just so many opportunities within it, both once you've got in it, to really have that range and keep you excited.
Thank you. One more.
Only one more.
Okay, go on.
So quick plug. If you're enthused, I know you're maybe not quite ready there on age, but we've got an apprenticeship starting, an RICS accredited apprenticeship starting in digital construction for surveying. And that can take in a number of different directions. But what I think you should all consider is how much money you really want to make. Because if you succeed, you will make a ton of money. And I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to make some big decisions in the next couple of years. Yeah, it's going to affect the rest of your life. You know, when I was at school, your age, I didn't know what I wanted to do. But when I came into the world of construction, there's many routes into it. You don't have to go to university. You don't have to go to trades. There's loads of different routes as appropriate and proportionate to your journey. Do not think construction is a place you go if you've failed. I think there's too much of that. It's a profession. There's many routes into it. But if you want to do something that's going to make an impact in society, you're going to have fun doing it, it's going to be technologically advanced, consider it. The only thing I hope today that you get out of today is you at least consider construction and the built environment as a career option. You know, go explore it with your teachers because they're looking excited at the back there. Teachers, excited? Nod more. So, you know, please explore it. There's lots of different careers. So hopefully it's about finding out more on your journey.
Yeah, and that's a good point to end on. And also, the industry are here to help. The industry is going to be working closely with your schools to give you some insight to the roles that you may be curious about. So your schools will be getting telephone calls from lots of companies. So if you're curious and interested in construction, make sure when you see the announcements that you get involved. I'd just like to say a massive thank you to the panel. Should we give them all a round of applause? And to the panel, can we clap the future gen of construction, please? Brilliant, thank you.